Preet, great to see you as always. Thanks for making a bit of time to come on. So, I want to kick off with something a little bit controversial. So, tell me this: is your technology going to make every sales coach that I've ever met redundant?
So that's a great question, Paul. Yes and no. I think there is room for great coaches always because what the AI is supposed to do is augment their capabilities and their training habits so that whatever highlights the winning behaviors and then lets the reps practice on those. But for mediocre coaches, 100%.
Yeah,
If you are just sailing by, there is no room.
yeah. So it's kind of get good or get out.
Yes, 100%. And
Yeah,
you can do it at scale. So you don't need to be in the room, physically present in these conferences, taking 2 days out or a week out, going, uh, and you can just do it at your home. Just log in at sellable.ai and that's it,
yeah,
and do a bunch of practice sessions.
yeah. And seeing as I've sort of flagged up what you do, I mean, or what your technology does, I mean, just tell us in a little bit more detail about how what you're doing works.
Sure. So Sellable primarily is a sales enablement platform right now that lets sales teams, high touch B2B sales teams, role play real sales conversations using AI clones of their prospects. So very specific in terms of conversations, buyer behavior. It can mimic, I can take your LinkedIn profile and then create an additional clone, the way you talk, the way you speak, so that if I'm a sales rep trying to sell you something, I know what to expect. It can obviously with time it'll get better, but that's the gist of it.
Yeah, no, and I think, I mean, having been a sales coach and taught a lot of people, I mean, it can be quite hard work. And if you can get technology to do that faster and better remotely and all the rest of it, I mean, I think it's a great technology, but I think it's going to be tough on sales coaches, as we've already said. So tell me about the mission. What is it you want to achieve with this business? I mean, give us a sense of the direction of travel. What is it you want to do?
Absolutely. So I think I fundamentally want to change how sales teams learn and practice. Traditionally, if you see that sales coaching or enablement has been very theoretical, like people watch LMS videos or go to boot camps or just uh, have to spend their time reading PDFs. I think there's a better way to do this because after talking to over 70 different sales leaders in the SMB and enterprise ecosystem, they just want their sales reps to do two things: practice and then have those conversations. Everything else, admin work, is just noise. So I just want to help enable that part. So I think the short term vision would be to make it super simple for anybody to take on these kind of roles, to be great at conversations. Because I think there are certain unique traits with great sales reps that is not art, it's science.
Hmm.
It's, hey, how do you know how to ask the right questions? Are you going deep enough into understanding the problem, or are you just making it transactional? I think these winning attributes can be isolated and be coached in a judgment-free environment so that you can stumble in private but show up sharp when it really
Yeah,
counts.
yeah. And just tell me, I mean, just because I'm curious, I mean, how did you develop the kind of the sales model? I mean, I've read three or four different approaches to selling
Sure.
technology, and they emphasize different things. I mean, is yours based on evidence of what works, or I mean, how did you develop the kind of the model that the technology, if you like, teaches people? I mean, tell us a bit about that.
Sure, absolutely. So some of the fundamental is definitely based on the learnings of really good sales teams like HubSpot, Salesforce. They have open sourced a lot of good transcripts in terms of what are good frameworks. But at the same time, the platform also gives the flexibility of adding your own framework, for example.
Mm.
So if there is a certain talk track or conversation guide that sales leaders want their reps to follow, or certain ways that they want their reps to handle objections, they can just add that. And that's how the system would respond. That's how the AI buyers would respond. But on a high level, if you want the standard techniques like spin, medpick, challenger, they are baked in. So at the end of the conversations of a 30-minute discovery call simulation, the sales rep would be graded based on that technique. And what were their prime objectives? If
Yeah.
it was to uncover needs, or just understand, qualify the opportunity. They get a analysis that's not overwhelming, right enough for them to understand, hey, this is where I messed up. This is where I need some help.
Yeah.
Does
And
that?
things like Challenger are based on large amounts of data anyway, aren't they?
Yes, yes, lots and lots.
Yeah. So you're sort of really enhancing an already existing database about what works and what doesn't work. Yeah.
100%. And also give them the flexibility of tweaking this as they need.
Yeah. So let me. Like I said, I think it's a great proposition. I mean, tell me about being an entrepreneur. What is it that because being running a company, trying to build a global business. I mean, it's quite a tough gig. I mean, what is it that kind of interests you about that kind of entrepreneurial approach and building trying to build a global company? I mean, give us a flavor of the kind of why, if you like, why you're doing it, other than the obvious, it's a great piece of technology, it'll make you loads of money.
That's a loaded question. I think I try to answer it to the best of my capabilities here. But I think why I do it, because I think I like solving problems. And I saw a problem when I was in the middle of multiple venture-backed startups, but primarily in tech and product roles. But I ended up selling because we didn't have sales teams at that point of time.
Yeah.
Really understood that, hey, in the SMB ecosystem, there's no concept of enablement. And even for a good sales rep to become productive, it takes 6 months, 8 months.
Yeah.
So saw a challenge, saw a market opportunity, and saw that, hey, I can solve this. I am probably one of the best people to solve this problem because I've been building AI solutions for the past 10 to 15 years. I understand what it takes. I have seen this journey.
Mm,
And the other part of the question was very interesting, that how do I scale this and make this into a global company?
mm,
I think, Paul, I think every market is so unique.
mm.
US, UK, APAC, the problems are so different. In terms of just sales, also, it's not the same. It's just, I don't think we can bucket sales into one unique bucket. So I think you have to start from scratch. In the US, in the SMB ecosystem, talk to as many customers as possible, understand their pain point, give them a solution, not a platform that solves that problem, and then repeat this process in every market.
Mm.
And find people who are already veterans and really established in those markets, partner with them so that your time to market becomes shorter. You don't have to solve everything. You don't have to be that person who goes and physically does everything, but you need to understand the customer in those markets.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I was going to ask you was, I mean, sales is conventional wisdom about sales is people buy from people. And of course, that is very much subject to kind of cultural sensitivities. And what I mean is that, doing business in New York is very different from doing business in, I don't know, Delhi.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a different culture. People respond in different ways. People have different expectations and so on. I mean, how do you manage? I mean, in the context of the technology that you're developing, I mean, how do you manage those kind of cultural sensitivities in terms of how your technology coaches sales leaders, salespeople?
Great question. So, Paul, again, I would go back to the first part of talking to or sales is not a zero sum game. You have to have your customers in the loop while creating these solutions. So the cultural nuances is very important in a global platform, not just when you're building for a technology specific to companies in New York or New Delhi, because everything is global right now.
Yeah,
From India selling to people in New York.
yeah,
And so the platform specifically takes those cultural nuances into uh, perspective. So there are different accents and AI bias in the platform that automatically change the AI brain. So reps get in practice with different type of with cultural nuances at the same time. But of course, like when you're segmented into a market, then you have to go through that customer validation loop, customer interviews,
mm,
understand what's working or not working. So just have to repeat that process again and again and not make it transactional. I
yeah,
think it just has to be a collaborative effort between the the initial customers and the solution.
yeah. And I guess AI enables you to do that so pretty quickly, doesn't it?
It does. It does. I think it time to market to create those solutions after those conversations definitely helps a lot. but I don't think AI should substitute those customer conversations. I see a lot of platforms coming in that say that, hey, don't talk to customers, talk to these AI simulated buyers that become your customers so that you know what to build. I think that is fundamentally, I would just say outright wrong, that AI can help augment those things, but it cannot be your customer because you're not selling to AI. So talking to customers 100%, and then you use AI for building those proof of concept, building the MVP out very soon so that you can get quick validation.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's just talk about your job as the CEO for a moment. I mean, it's a tough job building a business, particularly a global business. I mean, I know lots of people that are on that journey. I mean, and they all tell me, it's a bit of a roller coaster. You have good days, you have bad days. I mean, what is it that inspires you to kind of stick at it when you could go and get a nice, well-paid job working somewhere using your technical skills? I mean, what inspires you to be on that entrepreneurial roller coaster?
I think the love for what I do, solving problems, definitely keeps me going.
Yeah.
I think on another note, I think my wife and my dog definitely help keep
Right.
them
Okay.
alive, because that is definitely a part that people don't talk about. But if you don't have that emotional support
Yeah.
from your family, it's almost impossible, because most of the days that I have is like, hey, I'm a failure. I don't know what I'm doing. What the heck is going on?
Yeah.
I don't think I know anything about anything. And the next day I said, hey, I'm the best in the world. I know
Yeah.
everything. I know
Yeah.
exactly what to build. So I go through those phases. I think the first one more than the second one. But I think as the role of the CEO, I think you have to remove the title of CEO from your head if you want to create like a very solid company that solves problems, actual problems.
Yeah.
Going very deep, you cannot outsource customer conversations. I think that is something that I've learned over time.
Mm.
Is stop building, first talk to customers, get exactly what the problem is, and then even start cutting a line of code. And then, of course, customer support and customer conversations. Those are the biggest two things I think as
Yeah.
early stage CEOs. But again, you get your hands dirty into marketing, you get your hands dirty into
Yeah.
raising funds because you're creating a venture scale business. So, how do you kind of distribute your time? I think the best way to think about this is do everything right for the customer, everything else will follow. If you are making progress, you're solving problems, people notice, VCs already after you. They want to invest in a rocket ship.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting you use that word everything. I mean, I think of CEO as chief everything officer. It's a different experience when you're building a company, particularly when you've got a small team and you're trying to do something globally. I mean, you end up being involved in an awful lot of stuff. It's not as if you can just delegate everything, is it? I mean, it's a different experience, really. Let me ask you about another issue about being the CEO. One of the things that interests me is how CEOs, how the leader of the company, if you like, separates out what you're going to do and where you're going to go from all the other things that you could do. I mean, they say, don't they, strategy is mainly about what you don't do. I mean, what's your take on how you kind of find your way, how you cut through all the noise and all the distractions? What's your take on that?
I think it's, first of all, Paul, that's very tough for anybody trying to build a business. I think you definitely start off with something in your head that, hey, this is what I want to build. Along the way, you get your hypothesis challenged by customers, by what you're building. But I think if you take true to solving problems, your vision also evolves along the
Mm.
way.
Yeah.
And if you're open to that, I think you will succeed. It will probably take time because the process is not simple, but eventually you will succeed. It's not a short journey. It's not 6 months, it's a year, it's multiple years. So if somebody is adaptable in not being super restrictive in their vision and their mission being challenged, super 100%, there's no doubt in my mind that they are going to succeed.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, it's
start
interesting you use that phrase about being challenged. I mean, I often think that it's the negative feedback that really helps you. When people say, "Oh, it's great," that's nice, but it doesn't really help you, does it? It's the negative feedback that is the stuff that's useful.
No customer that, I mean, I reach out to customers or potential customers to LinkedIn and just cold outreach, and nobody has said the product sucks. Everybody says, "Hey, it's amazing," but I know that that feedback doesn't help, because nobody, a stranger that you met for the first time over Zoom, is going to say, "Hey, your product sucks. This is rubbish." Nobody's going to say that. And so you have to. There's an art to it, that asking the right questions to understand whether your product sucks or your platform sucks. Is it solving a problem? I think if early stage CEOs can hone in on that skill, super valuable. Instead of asking, "Hey, what do you think about my platform? What do you think about Sellable?" If I ask that question, I'm 10 out of 10 times getting the answer that, "Hey, it's awesome." But if
Yeah.
I ask specific questions about, "Hey, do you see this actually moving the needle for your sales teams? Do you see this actually changing the ramp times? Do you see this being a part of your sales process from day zero?" Then they get a little more open and said,
So,
"Hey,
so what you're saying is that it's about asking smarter questions, really, isn't it?
yes, that determines your vision, that determines what you're building, that determines whether you're going to succeed or not. Asking questions.
Yeah. And tell me about the business model. I mean, one of the things that's interesting about all these small companies that are going global is they come up with some really interesting business models. I mean, how did you come up with your business model? I know it's not quite there yet, I don't think, is it? But I mean, how give us a sense of how you developed what you've got in terms of the business model.
I think just understanding the willingness to pay from customers. And then it's a lot of hit and trial. It's impossible to get the business model right the
Mm.
first time. So I think it's just an iterative process. Companies change their business model even after they go public. So I think it's just being flexible enough to understand what the market is saying and then changing. For me personally, it was doing customer interviews and seeing how much are they paying right now to solve a problem like this. How much more room is there if I am able
Mm.
to 100x their solution in a smaller time frame? Is their willingness to pay increase? And then that's the back math or the bottoms up calculation I use to kind of figure out, hey, this is a subscription service that I can actually feed in, because it's not just ramping reps, it's being part of their daily cycle and saying that, hey, if I'm getting on a conversation with X, Y, and Z, I can just do a quick call. So now it becomes part of the process. So the willingness to say
Yeah.
that, hey, okay, I want to pay for this because this adds value.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And let me ask you about some of the people stuff. I mean, we've talked about the kind of technical things so far. Tell me about the people stuff. So, I mean, one of the things that's interesting in this idea about small team global impact is how do you build a high performing team? How do you create the environment in which people can thrive and develop and grow? Now, I know you don't have a massive team. I know you outsource some of this stuff, but what's your take on that issue? Because it seems to me if you haven't got a high performing team, you're going to struggle to have the kind of global impact that you want to achieve. I mean, give us your thoughts on that.
I think, and Paul, I've done this like a bunch of times now in
Mm.
terms of building uh, platforms, products from -1 to 100 in big organizations and small venture-backed startups also. So I think I have learned over time to look for certain things or certain traits in people. It is more curiosity than experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Things that people can easily learn, pick up, that unfortunately sometimes experience gets in the way, that I don't not hire because of experience, but I do definitely will look at people who are willing to be adaptable, and can they wear multiple hats at this stage of the company, because the roles are not defined. Unfortunately, you get somebody who's going to be selling, but they would probably also have to do prospecting. So really understand that uh, team player, coachable, and very curious. And skills, I think we are in this weird time where everything is accessible. You spend some time on Google, you spend some time on these top models, you'll be able to get some kind of information that is super relevant for early stage success in terms of skills. So those are the three things that I look for.
Yeah.
And I have been fortunate to create a very solid network over my time in these different organizations. So I can, when I want to expand the team, I know people that, hey, that they would love to come work with me. So I can always fill in, and within a month, I can have like a very solid team up and running.
Yeah. And how do you create, I mean, to come back to the second part of my point, how do you create an environment in which all those people can thrive? I
So
mean, that's easier said than done, isn't it?
give them a voice, make them feel heard. Because I think if you again come back with the notion that what's in your head is right, oftentimes it's wrong. Because if there are more brains working on a problem, you get more insights, you get more ideas. I think if you work in that collaborative mindset, I'm not saying for everything, of course, at the end of the day, the CEO has to make the decision, but you need to hear. If you don't get the opposing view, it's very hard to get things right.
Mm. And
So
what about, I mean, I absolutely agree with that, those points. What about if you have conflict between team members? I mean, what's your thoughts on how you deal with that? Because that, again, that's quite a tricky thing when some of the team may be remote.
yeah, it's happened so many times. I mean, in previous organizations as well. But I try to handle it more maturely rather than more passively. So, getting on conversations, understanding, hey, what's going on, whether it's basically because somebody is insecure of the position, somebody's stepping toes in. So, depending on the situation, just having conversations. If somebody is being overly negative, then unfortunately, there's no room in the company for people like them. If it is more around insecurity, there are always ways to handle that. Give them independent projects, give them different ways to kind of shine independently. Not everybody has to be working at a team. Somebody is great as an independent contributor. So find their skills and really help them shine over there. Not everybody needs to be a manager. Not everybody needs to be a leader. Somebody just
Mm.
thrives at just being an awesome engineer. So let them go be that.
Mm. Just playing people to their skills.
100%.
Yeah, yeah. And let me ask you about customers. I mean, you talked a lot about customers and listening to customers earlier on. I mean, what does a good customer look like to you?
What does a good customer look like? I think who's willing, I'll answer that in two phases. I think early stage as well as mid or late stage customers. I think number one is a customer is, let me get the definition now. Who is paying you? Who is not paying you? They're not your customers, they're just users at that point of time. Because even if they pay a small amount at that point of time, they are with you on their journey in terms of helping you succeed.
Mm.
Early stage, if you are having regular check-ins with them and it's not a transaction relationship, those are customers. They are willing to share their insights. It's more of a design partnership agreement. That is your customer.
Mm.
Later stage, and more than happy to expand on that, Paul, if you want. But for later stage, it totally depends on, I would say, what problem at what stage are you solving. So I think the ACV plays a big role in later stage companies. Are you, it's a 100K customer or a 500K customer? The problems that you're solving for a 100K customer are slightly different than a
Yeah,
500K.
yeah, yeah.
So making that distinction that, hey, am I going after 500, 100K customers or just going after 10, 500K customers? And then really creating or directing all your customer support or your product related information to serving those kind of customers.
Mm. I mean, that's an interesting way of dividing them up, actually. How did, I mean, where have you, what conclusions have you reached about that? I mean, are you going for the 100K customers or going for the 500K customers? I mean, how do you, I mean, it's a very interesting dichotomy there because what you're really sort of alluding to is customer product fit,
Yes.
how you get that right. I mean, what's your take on how you address that problem? I mean, I take your point that there's multiple customers in the market potentially. What's your view about how you address that and prioritize the right one?
Comes down to, I think, your own skills.
Mm.
That do you think you can serve the 500K customer or not? Do you have the resources or not to serve that? Because their expectations are different, their problems are
Yeah,
different.
yeah,
Buying cycles are very complex,
yeah.
sometimes close to 18 months. You have up to 12 stakeholders at a time that you might have to interact with. There's legal compliance involved in kind of getting those customers narrowed down. So I would say that if you are super early stage companies, my personal recommendation would be to stay away from them, because by the time you get to a customer, your resources are already dried up. But if you go to the smaller customers where the decision making could be 4 months, you talk to 6 buyers instead of 12, but they are a little more willing in terms of being more interactive rather than transactional. The 500K customers, from what I have seen in the past also, is it is definitely more transactional. This is the money, this is the budget that we already have in this,
Yeah.
paying you, solve this problem.
Yeah.
So
So what you're really saying is about finding the right fit, isn't it?
yes,
Which is easy to say, it's more difficult to do.
very hard to do. And the only way to do it is to talk to different stages of customers, understand their procurement cycle when you're selling to them, understand how do they buy, who's involved, and then make those decisions. You just cannot say that, hey, tomorrow I'm going to start selling to small size B2B companies, unless you have no idea about who those B2B companies are, how do they buy, who makes the decision, whether it's the CRO, the CFO, who comes in. So you have to spend a good quality amount of time to understand your buyer's journey.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And let me ask you, on the customer front, what do you think customers would say about you and your business?
Uh, I would say all of them right now love me. I mean, that's not even without exaggeration, Paul, but each one of them has really loved the platform so far.
Right.
Uh, and I mean, I published a case study with one of my awesome customers, Lead Gen Hub, where got their RAM time reduced by 50%, in some cases closer to 80%.
Wow.
And this was just because, and one of their greatest feedback was they could not differentiate whether they were talking to an AI or a human.
Wow, really? That's
And
powerful feedback, isn't it?
I great. I mean, think about me. I felt awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I bet. Yeah.
So, and one of those are the key things that I've learned over time. I would say it wasn't easy to arrive at that position. Really spending and going after those customers and requesting them time that please give me feedback. What do you think about this? What do you asking them very targeted questions? Do you think this AI behavior is off? How far off? Can you give me specific answers? Did
Mm.
you like what it said? And that's how you improve. So I'm doing that right now actively. That's how I'm improving the platform. No
Yeah.
way questions, very targeted questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's move on to sort of markets. I mean, one of the things that interests me is about, a technology like yours is going to be able to work across the planet. Um, how do you work out which markets to go into? I mean, I talk to some CEOs who say, we do loads of market research. We go spend time in whatever the market is, America or whatever. Spend time there, spend a lot of money, get boots on the ground. On the other hand, at the other end of the extreme, I see customers that say, "Well, I sort of met this customer and I just decided to go to Germany, and that's where I've gone, and it's going fine." I mean, where would you be on that spectrum around market entry? Are you really into developing a detailed market entry strategy, or you're a bit more flexible?
So it's a combination of user-backed research and people who have seen that market before.
Hmm.
So what I mean by that is initial market for me is US Canada because the SMB size for B2B businesses is pretty big.
Yeah.
And I've known that what is their willingness to pay, how much do they pay right now. I'm just taking an example for Sellable. If I were to go to a different market in EU, for example, maybe Germany, or even if we go to the UK, I would do the same thing again. I would see that, hey, how many SMBs are there currently there in the B2B ecosystem? How many outbound sales reps do they have? How much are they spending in terms of sales training? What are the
So
methodologies
you
that
do a fair amount of market research, is what you're saying?
yeah, I would say a decent amount. I won't say that I would spend 3 months trying to do that, but I would spend time to understand that and then talk to sales reps in those markets, the end users first, and then to the sales leaders. That, hey, even if I deploy this technology, would the sales reps actually use this or not?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the demographic distribution of those sales reps? Is it more Gen Z or is it on the slightly millennial and Gen X, where it's 30 and above because their learning habits are totally different.
Yeah. Let me ask you about that adoption thing. I mean, historically, the introduction of new technology, innovative technology is resisted. People struggle to adapt quickly. You get this small bunch of early adopters, and then you've got to kind of cross the chasm to get to the bigger market, and that can be pretty difficult to do. I mean, what's your take on, the sort of building up and what's the word? What's the way to put it? Sort of developing that adoption process. I mean, are you experiencing a lot of resistance from reps who, are they positive about using the platform to learn? Are they resistant to it? I mean, what's your experience of those sorts of issues?
So end users, reps have been very receptive in terms of
Right.
because it helps them. The one of the biggest things that Sellable helps do is increase confidence. That hey, it gives you do it enough times, it becomes muscle memory. You can pick up the phone and just start
So,
dialing.
so what you're saying is you help them do their job better,
Yes,
so they get benefit from that in terms of the rewards and all the rest of it.
higher increase in quota, less likely to leave jobs. The companies don't have to account for turnover of those reps. But I think fundamentally, because it's a newer piece of technology where you're talking to AI, so a lot of have questions about investing money into a technology like this. So that becomes, hey, why don't we nurture that lead? What would you take to kind of come on board? Whether this shows results or not, it's not something that has been proven before because it's so new. So a couple of case studies doesn't do the job. At that point of time, they want to do a few paid pilots before deploying it to their entire organization of 2,000 reps. So they'll probably do with 50, 100 reps, try
Mm.
it out, see the benefit, and then move on to a bigger deployment. So I think that I have to get past those hurdles of proving out the technology that works internally in the business and then do it at scale.
Yeah, and on that point, I mean, one of the things that interests me is how you deploy that technology in very specialist markets. I'm thinking, for example, about medical reps, people that sell pharmaceuticals to doctors and surgeons and hospitals and so on. I mean, that's a really specialized sales role. Your technology is about helping them get better at that. So how's that going? Is my short question.
Without sharing the name of the company, there's a pharma company that I'm in conversations with right now.
Yeah.
And most of their conversations are in person, not over Zoom, because they
Yeah.
meet
Yeah.
directors at these clinics, they meet doctors, physicians in person. So they were very interested in seeing that, hey, most of my reps are not even sales graduates. They're not BCom or any kind of business degree. They are arts majors. They're somebody else, but really
Yeah.
good at. But I want to teach them to ask the right questions. How can this help? And when I showed them a demo, and one of the nice things about just plugging Sellable in here is in under 20 seconds, it gets the deep context awareness of the AI buyer. So you
Mm.
don't have to spend months trying to say that, hey, this is how a physician in this role is going to behave or ask these questions. Within 20 seconds, it gets the dump completely. So they were really fascinated that, hey,
Mm.
it was able to ask those deep questions about what is the current infusion process in their clinics. This is how the patient intake kind of works. So they said, hey, for for the past 20 years, we have been sitting down with these reps in rooms and having them do manual role plays where a manager says that, hey, I am going to be this physician,
Yeah.
and they have the right information because they are not physicians, they don't have the depth of their knowledge. So they do those role plays and then have them go through mandatory certification process
Mm.
where they have to spend at least uh, 2 months just reviewing videos and then answering questions at the end of the video. They see that entire process get replaced by Sellable
Yeah.
because it's becoming super interactive. You and I talking, you are going to be essentially a medical director at a clinic, and I can just practice these conversations with you. So becomes super interactive, becomes muscle memory, becomes no-brainer.
Yeah. So it really helps people develop their skills quickly, doesn't it, really?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I
Yes.
mean, I see the value of that. Let's just move on to what you've learned from the experience. I mean, it's pretty successful now, and I'm sure it's going to be even more successful in the future. Did you ever have a moment when you thought, "Oh, this may not go the way I hope"?
right now also, I mean, every single day I think about that fall. It's a journey that goes up and
Yeah,
down.
yeah,
But I think the biggest thing that I learned was, again, going back to that customer thing. I think not writing code from day zero has really helped, because for me, coming from a very strong engineering and product ecosystem, anything that I do when I write code, I see it in front of me. That's tangible for me. I can see that, hey, I made some progress. But if you have 10 customer conversations in a week and you're just sitting in, you know that, hey, my next conversation is in 3 weeks, you're just sitting there, unfortunately, and you feel
yeah,
like a failure at that point of time. So, how do you kind of manage that?
yeah. It's tough emotionally, I think. Muhammad Ali famously said, "You don't lose by being knocked down, you lose if you stay down." I mean, have you ever been really knocked down on the journey, such that you thought maybe I can't get up?
Yes, Paul. I mean, like too many times. Too many times. I mean, I think that's, I tell my wife when she comes back from work that, hey, I don't think I can do this. And then we have this conversation again. And then, hey, you're sitting on a confirmation from a company that, hey, it's sitting with their CFO. It's going to take some day. Hey, let's catch up today. I have an answer for you. And then in the 10 minutes before our conversation, you said that, hey, well, this is pushed out for next quarter, without any email, without anything. You just get that email. And he said, what? Like, we were so close to signing the deal. Now it's off by a quarter. What do you mean? There's no explanation. There's nothing done. At that point of time, you feel depressed. You say that,
Yeah,
what am I doing with my life? I could go outside, get some money, but you do it for the love of it. You do it for the journey. There's so many
yeah,
things that you learn that it's almost impossible to go learn that in uh, in a company, like in a
yeah.
corporate organizations. It's just impossible.
It's a different experience working for somebody else, isn't it? Totally different.
Totally.
And when you look back, what's the biggest lesson you've learned, would you say?
I think learned a few things that I would say, again, I don't know. I'm putting customers in the front here, but having as many conversations as possible before. Don't try to create a product. Try to create a solution to the problem. So they're two distinct things. So you can create an awesome product that nobody uses, or you can create like a semi-functional solution that actually solves a problem. So I think understanding the difference between those two can make your life super easy, and your distinction between success and failure.
Mm.
Second biggest thing that I would say is understand the difference between creating a company and creating a product. Is creating a company involves a lot more nuances about and rather than just creating a product that's super awesome. You posted on LinkedIn a few times, but you have no customers. You're still struggling. I'm not saying that company doesn't go through that, but fundamentally the mindset is very different. And somebody coming from an engineering ecosystem, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that most engineers are like that. Having seen this
You
journey
mean,
first,
and what you mean by that is they like to focus on the product rather than the company.
yes.
Yeah,
And so you just keep on, and don't keep on adding features that nobody uses just because you feel that, hey, this looks nice. If nobody's using your core functionality, nobody's going to use the other features that make it look nice. And the third biggest learning that I saw is hire the right people.
yeah,
It's impossible to succeed. I would say, shouldn't say impossible, but likelihood of succeeding is very hard if you don't have a good, strong team.
yeah.
Uh,
No, absolutely. I mean, I totally agree with that. It's very difficult to make progress unless you've got a good bunch of people, I think. Let me ask you, what are you most proud of? I mean, it's a fantastic proposition, and you've done some fabulous things. I mean, what is it you're most proud of when you look back on that journey?
it's the journey. I would say that everything I was able to do solo so far. So I think that is, I would give myself a pat on the back and then just get back to work in the next 20 minutes. But I would say that forcing myself not to code and then just having these customer conversations,
Mm.
having an investor like Founders Network Fund come in to help support this journey, and then also being part of NVIDIA Inception, all while doing this by myself, has been super rewarding. And now I think it's at the inflection point where I'm getting customer pull, where I'm going to expand the team and then just grow from there.
Yeah, yeah, and well done. I mean, like I said, I think it's a great proposition. Let me ask you one final question, which is not so much about you and your business, but about the kind of AI, the impact of AI. I mean, everyone I talk to is, has different views about the way AI is going to play out. I mean, what's your take on the next couple of years? I mean, what's your thoughts on how the technology is going to evolve and the impact that's going to have?
So that's a very broad and loaded question. I mean, because I think AI is going to change a lot of industries.
Yeah, yeah.
Talk specifically about our day-to-day activities as humans, seeing this at the forefront from the past 10 years, I think I'm super fascinated by the fact that consumer customer adoption on AI has increased.
Mm.
So we did not even think twice before embracing uh, a technology like ChatGPT and now Gemini and now Anthropic. It's just become part of our daily lives.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think fundamentally humans are wired in the way that given enough time, they start trusting technology easily. Like there was a time where you wouldn't think about just going to somebody's home, renting Airbnb and just living in their apartment, or just getting into a stranger's car uh, and getting an Uber back home.
Mm.
But I think in the next 5 years, I think we will be more adaptable to AI, where AI might play a bigger role in our lives, uh, doing basic transactions. I think at least bare minimum. Tesla is working on robots or humanoids that can actually do household chores. So I would say that in the next 7 years, I probably see that happening.
Mm.
At least in some markets, at least San Francisco is pretty ahead of the curves. I don't think it'll survive in New York right now, but in San Francisco, I can totally see humanoids being adaptable in households. In the sales ecosystem, I think, or in general, very interesting thing that is happening right now is people need to upskill themselves
Mm.
because we are going through a fundamental AI revolution right now,
Mm.
and a lot of people are ignoring that. I think the way that uh, people are working today is fundamentally transforming and changing.
Mm.
So if people are smart enough, they should be looking at, hey, what are the skills that are going to be super valuable in the next 7 years, 5 years? So building towards that, whatever that could be. The human in the loop is still going to be there
Mm.
because you're still going to buy from humans. But that might also change for some industries. For small value items, maybe you don't need to talk to a human.
Yeah, yeah.
So how
I
this
mean,
evolves, the ecosystems super interesting to watch.
yeah, no, I mean, I think that's a very good point. I mean, I think it's going to be, whichever way it goes, it's going to be an interesting few years. So.
What are your thoughts on that? Like, I would love to hear, like, where do you
Well,
see?
rather like you, really. I mean, I think it's actually very difficult to predict exactly what's going to happen. In the same way as it's almost impossible to predict the weather, except that, in the summer it's probably going to be warm and in the winter it's probably going to be cold. I mean, my view is that AI is going to have a big impact on lots of different sectors as it evolves. So I think it's going to be really, really interesting. It's more difficult to say exactly how things will play out in different industries. I mean, I think sales is a good area because in the way that your technology is helping humans to do their job better. It seems to me to be a pretty valuable proposition, and people will say, "Well, that's great. If it helps me become a better sales rep, that's great." If, on the other hand, the technology is going to do my job for me and I don't have a job, they're going to be perhaps a bit less positive about it. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how things play out. So I don't know really, other than that it's going to drive a lot of change. But I think that change will be different in different sectors. So, like I said, interesting times. So,
I don't
pre,
know if you're seeing this, Paul, in the UK or not, but at least in New York and parts of US, people have moved from remote into more in-person events right now.
yeah,
So people also moving into in-person events and buying from those in-person events now, rather than because it's saturated. The amount of cold emails that you're getting, the amount of
yeah,
LinkedIn outreach that you're getting, it's insane. It's automated. It's AI.
yeah,
So trust that. So they're moving back to, hey, let
yeah,
me go and buy from a human being. So it's
yeah.
it's full circle that's coming back.
Yeah, I mean, and we're not going to have. They're not going to be either ors. I mean, I think we're going to have some stuff that's done remotely and some stuff that's going to be done face to face. I don't think that's actually going to change. I mean, it'll vary depending on the circumstances. Will be my take on it because both are valuable. Both of those processes add value. It seems to me. Anyway, Preet, thank you for taking a bit of time out to come and have a chat with us. I mean, what a great story. What a great proposition. I wish I'd had that at the beginning of my career. I'd have probably been a lot better at sales if I'd had your technology to help me, learn those skills
You're
earlier.
already all awesome at sales. I don't think you need this.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I've had my moments when I've screwed things up. I can tell you that for nothing. Anyway, Preet, thank you for taking a bit of time out. Thanks for the story, and good luck going forward. Like I said, a great proposition.
Thank you. Thank you for having the call.
Cheers, Preet. Bye bye.